Commissioner Kaduda Iripae, the Deputy Executive Secretary, Ozone Secretariat, Ms. Maria Mankiat, and other development partners, like I said, we have Julia Ruto here, our host and key principal of Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology, my friend Sanity Muiwa. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here with you today to commemorate the International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer. This significant occasion serves as a moment of reflection in our collective action to safeguard the ozone layer. It is crucial to acknowledge that the thinning of the ozone layer threatens our environment and our existence. That blanket that protects us from harmful substances or rays from the sun is what is being threatened, the thinning, the Kua Ndogo. We must therefore prioritize the efforts to mitigate climate change and reduce its impact on the ozone layer. And I'm encouraged this morning that I saw quite a number of us, development partners, coming on board, the various technology experts. Na vile umeelezewa hata hiyo fridge kuna hiyo kadawa iko hapo, hatutaki iende kwa environment, it will deplete our ozone layer. This year's National World Ozone Day commemoration is a precursor to the 35th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol. Na umeelezewa hiyo as a country tumesha ratifaiwa kwa parliament. We are going now moving to the UNSG conference next week to deposit our documents. So we are compliant as a country. Commonly known as MOV 35. I am happy to announce that Kenya will host another important climate event just weeks after the Africa Climate Summit. You know, last week we had the entire African nation and the world coming to Nairobi. We had 22 heads of state hosted by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. Samoei Ruto, who is the chair of CAHOS. CAHOS is the chair of Committee of Heads of State on Climate Change at the AU. So he hosted the event, and of course most of you participated, you saw what happened, and most of the resolutions that we had at the Africa Climate Summit are what we are also moving on to the UNSG conference also by the United Nations next week. And the choice of the United Nations Environment Program UNEP headquarters in Nairobi as the venue for the big meeting that we are having, the MOP 35 in October 2023, is no coincidence, and we appreciate UNEP being here. It means therefore that Kenya underscores its commitment to the environmental stewardship and sustainable development. I want to emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, our commitment as a ministry. One, that we will fully implement measures to phase out substances that deplete the ozone layer. Kenya is also at the tail end of ratifying the Kigali Amendment, and the instruments of ratification will be deposited in the upcoming high-level segment of UNGA in New York next week. That is also important for us, and we appreciate the National Assembly and the team that to make sure that we got this ratified. And therefore, we are going to deposit them next week. We stand resolute in our mission to facilitate all sectors transition to environmentally friendly alternatives conducive to the ozone and climate preservation. And that means that we are actively monitoring and researching our ozone layers condition. We have established a monitoring station at our Kenya Meteorological Department facility in Mount Kenya in collaboration with the World Meteorological Organization's Global Atmosphere Watch (CAO) program. And therefore, as part of our broad ozone and climate action agenda, the ministry is currently implementing two projects, namely one, the institutional strengthening program supported by the United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, and the hydrochlorofluorocarbon, ACFCs. Phase out management plan, HPMP, supported by the government of France and the German International Cooperation, GIZ Proclima. Further, the ministry in collaboration with the GIZ Proclima is implementing the third Green Cooling Initiative, GCI 3, a project supported by the German Federal Ministry of Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, through these programs, the ministry continues supporting Kenya's value chains, including training institutions to acquire appropriate technologies and capacities for sustainable ozone and climate management. And that is why institutions differ. And Rvist is a lead example here. We have to work with the various institutions to make sure that we build capacity on these programs for us to be able to mitigate against the depletion of our ozone layer. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that the ministry, through its National Ozone Unit working with GIZ again, the Department of Customs and Border Control, and I'm happy KRA is here, Kenya Revenue Authority, training institutions and the private sector has trained over 200 customs officers and more than 1,000 refrigeration and air conditioning service technicians on the management of ozone depleting substances. It is important that, and I'm happy, as I indicated, that KRA, those items that are coming to the country, they need to know what is harmful to our environment. Our refrigeration, our technicians also needs to be supported in that respect. We are working with the various agencies, Kenya Revenue Authority, the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, to be able to work on those programs as indicated earlier on. And on the training of the 200 customs and more than 1,000 refrigeration and air conditioning service technicians and the management of ozone depleting substances. Further, the ministry recently unveiled Kenya's National Cooling Action Plan, which aims to enhance access to sustainable cooling for all the Kenyans as a climate action intervention. So this is important for us, especially for the colleagues that are in the industry of refrigeration and the cooling substances. It is worth highlighting, therefore, that Kenya has undertaken proactive steps to implement the controlled substance regulations, which is important for us, which have been updated to encompass substances controlled under the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. Those collaboration with the Customs and Border Control Department of Kenya Revenue Authority and the National Environment Management Authority, our ministry is committed to establishing rigorous control mechanisms for the importations of these controlled substances. And this is part of our preparation as we transit to UNGA. This will involve the issuance of import license to effectively combat illicit importation of such substances. So it's important, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues in the sector, that we work together in collaboration to be able to protect our environment, which is so critical. Remember, when the ozone layer is depleted, it is one of the areas that gives us issues on climate change. We are leader in the climate change programs in terms of mitigation and adaptation, and therefore, as we work out on the ozone depletion mechanisms, water to Tungane water to make sure that we work out on programs that protect our environment. Environment is life. Article 42 of the Constitution of Kenya, everyone has a right to a healthy environment. And this is jukumu letu wote to make sure that we protect your environment, tuweze kuishi maisha mazuri. And that ties on to the presidential directive on the 15 billion tree growing program. For us in the next 10 years, 5 billion in these 5 years, 10 billion in the next 5 years again to get to 15, to move our tree cover from 12.8% to 30%. So it's important for us to work closely. No, in the next few days, we are on a short rain season between September to November or to December. We need to take advantage of the rains that are coming to grow more trees. So it is your responsibility to do your part. I know also we are predicted as a government that there will be El Nino rain, so we need to also work out in programs to harvest the waters that will be coming. We work on our drainage system so that we don't get effects of the high levels of torrential rains that are expected in the next few weeks. With those few remarks, I want to express my sincere appreciation to you, ladies and gentlemen, to each one and every one of you who has joined us in commemorating the World Ozone Day. Tumai mumeelewa what World Ozone Day. I know we've not been celebrating, and this year we were very deliberate as a ministry that every event that is calendar marked, which is celebrated worldwide, we are going to participate so that wananchi waweze kuelewa jukumu lao kuhusu mazingira na jinsi ya kulinda. Your presence and active involvement stand as a powerful testament to our collective dedication to climate action. And this is part and parcel of our conversation as we work together to make our environment livable. We need to make sure that your environment is livable, your surrounding is good for your health. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. Asanteni sana.